Welcome to the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast with Vicki Noethling. You are about to discover impactful lessons that help you grow as an individual, grow your confidence, and find the positive and good within you, so you powerfully and authentically become the best version of yourself. Be sure you visit our website at www.findyourleadershipconfidence.com. While you're there, subscribe to us via your favorite network. Now tune in, get ready, and enjoy the journey of emerging as a leader of exception in the 21st century.
Welcome, everyone, to the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast. I'm your host, Vicki Noethling, coming to you from Roswell, Georgia. The goal of this podcast is to bring guests and topics that will empower you to become that confident leader and take your business and your life to the next level. Today, I am very excited to have with me Daniel Packard, and let me tell you a little bit about Daniel. So Daniel is a UC Berkeley Mechanical Engineer that turned his painful 10-year battle with severe anxiety into a mission to engineer an actual permanent solution for anxiety. After 8 years of research and testing, working with 3,000 people from 5 continents, Daniel and his research have developed the world's only permanent anxiety solution program with a 90% success rate. And because Daniel is so passionate for results, his company is the only emotional health company in the world where clients only pay at the end of their anxiety, if their anxiety is fully solved. Daniel was also a stand-up comedian for 15 years, so I'm sure this interview will be very illuminating for all of you, but also entertaining. He is the anxiety solution pioneer. The theme for today is going to be learn how to solve fear and anxiety. Please join me in welcoming my guest, Daniel Packard. Welcome, Daniel.
Thank you so much for having me, Vicki. And I'm sure you know you have a very professional, soothing radio voice. And as you were talking, I thought, I just wish everybody got an intro every day. You know, I'm very fortunate to go around the world and, you know, give talks and presentations, be on podcasts like this, and you get an intro. And it's nice to, you know, we all want to be appreciated. And so I just wish everybody, you know, got an intro every morning. Like, you know, when everyone would wake up, somebody would pop up, you know, coming to the world now is you. You're excellent at, you know, bringing just the right amount of food to a potluck. And you can not only inhale, but exhale. Coming to the world now is you. Yay. So in the meantime, though, it feels very good to have it.
I was going to say, you're all welcome to send me your bio and I'll be happy to record it for you and you can play it every morning.
I mean, that is a good little side business. Yeah. I mean, you have a better voice for it. But it'd be a good side business doing that. Absolutely. There's Cameo, you know, we're celebrities. We could have Vicchio, or I could do it. We could call it Only Dan's, sort of a lot of good ideas here. But in the meantime, I'm going to help people be free of fear and anxiety. And once I've helped people rid the world of that, then I'll move on to this very intelligent side project.
Sounds awesome. So we gave a lot of your accolades about, you know, who you are professionally, but I always like to ask a couple easy questions. The first is, tell everybody what part of the country you call home.
Well, I grew up in Berkeley, California, but I left the U.S. about 10 years ago. One of the benefits of the system that we developed is, which I was one of the first test cases, is you're very free. You're emotionally free, but then that sort of blends and segues out into the rest of your life. And so I'm very not only emotionally free, but logistically free. Yes. I go live in a new country every year or so, and I have 2 bags with everything I own, and so I don't call any place home. It's nice. It's really nice.
What country are you in this year?
In the last year, well, the highlight was I spent the winter in the Swedish mountains in this little town called Ore, which means, I think, honor. And it was, I mean, not only did I love the Swedish people, they have a wonderful sense of humor. Their English is perfect to the point where they're correcting me, which is always a little disconcerting. However, they had this thing that I'd heard about, which it's called ski in, ski out. And what it means is, well, normally if you go skiing or snowboarding, you get to a place, and if you want to live in a town where there's skiing or snowboarding, you normally kind of have to hop in a car or a bus and travel from like 30 minutes to an hour, get there, go all day, then hop back in. And, okay, not bad. But here you can live in the town and the ski runs go right by your door. So I'm not making this up. I would be helping. I would have a couple, sessions with clients. I would help some clients, be in my purpose, put on my snowboarding gear, and just hop onto the ski run. And I would go for 2 hours. And then when I was done, the ski run came right to my door. And just like James Bond, I would just like zhush up right up to my door, unclip, go in. And it was so incredible to go shopping. I would put on a backpack and I would snowboard to the supermarket. I felt like Jason Bourne. It was incredible. And now I'm spoiled. So now when I hear people say, I had to take a bus to snowboard, I go, peasants. So anyway, that was really wonderful. And then from there, I went to Estonia, which was interesting. I lived by the water and I tried kite surfing, which is difficult. I got up, I'm okay, but and then I went to England. It wasn't vibing with me. And so now I'm back in Mexico. There's a little town I like to come to every couple of years called Tepoztlan. It's up in it's about an hour from Mexico City. There's these beautiful volcanic cliffs and an actual Aztec pyramid that you can see from town. And so that's where I'm at right now.
That's cool. That just reminded me, I like to cruise. And so I was on a cruise several years ago, and one of the group tours you could go on was this Aztec village. It was like all these miniature. I was so disappointed. I thought, I'm going to see, like the Great Pyramids, but Aztec, no, these little teeny, very sad.
Yeah, some things in this world probably you don't want to see on small scale. A miniature train, cute, miniature puppy, miniature horse, but miniature pyramid, no. The whole point is they're big and majestic. No. Yeah. Well, now we know. A teachable moment.
Yes. Get more details when you sign up for this. All right. So let's really get into the heart of things. So what is the biggest misconception our listeners might have about anxiety?
There's so many, there's the misconception of what it actually is, the actual diagnosis and the mechanics of it, which I want to illuminate to your audience in a bit, just to kind of clarify and simplify what's going on, because it's much more solvable and simple than people realize. We're led to believe, and it feels like it's very complicated and confusing. And it turns out it's not. It's just that if you keep people confused, the experts, they make more money because you never solve it, and they just keep, it's for years. But it's actually simple. But another misconception is just that it's not solvable. We spent 8 years to develop this program, to develop a system that allowed people to be free of it permanently once and for all. And I thought when we, figured out how to do this, so many people are anxious, so many people are in pain, and, we would just help millions of people. And we helped some people, but not nearly enough. And what we found out very quickly is because what people have tried for so long doesn't work that well, and most things don't go to the root cause. And there's all these different theories on what is it, what is it not. And people try all these different Band-Aids that never really solve it. It leaves people feeling like, A, it's not solvable. B, people feel broken. They feel like this is just something they have to live with. So when we came along and we said, no, we're solving it. You can be free of this. People just say that's too good to be true. And so the skepticism that not only that they can be free of it, but that it's simple. People cannot wrap their heads around that something can be simple. And the reason it's simple and solvable is because it's a real innovation in in this. And it's an innovation that was not easy. This is not like some little idea I came up with. It was 8 years of my life.
Yeah.
And it was motivated by a lot of pain. And the pain came from, well, there was the pain that motivated the innovation, but then there was our approach. And our whole approach when I started my company was based on something that my dad told me growing up that was very impactful. There were things that my dad did that were impactful in a negative way. I know he did the best we could. All parents do. But, my dad wasn't one of those, I'm proud of you, good job, attaboy kind of dads. I'm sure I'm the only person out there. I'm the only one. But he just, he wasn't able to give that gift. And so as a kid, like any kid who didn't get approval from parents, I start trying to go out of my way to get his approval. So I came up with this plan, which was to do something that he would appreciate. I thought maybe if I do it in something he can value, he'll say good job and I'll know he loves me. Of course, I didn't realize at the time that my dad was too wounded and insecure to say good job. I thought it was me, So my parents were very into the college application. And so I thought, okay, I'll run for class president. I'll win class president. Then I'll tell my dad class president. He'll say good job. I know he loves me. I move on. So I run for class president. I win class president. And I'm walking home and I'm so confident with my little plan. And I walk into the house and I see my dad and I turn to him as though nothing can go wrong. And I say, hey, Dad, guess who's class president? And he looks at me and he says, don't let it interfere with your homework. And I'm like, come on, man. Like that was a softball pitch. Just say good job. And it hurt so badly that I looked at him and I was really in pain. And I looked at him, and this is before I shut down as a kid. There's a time when you're still open-hearted. And I looked at him and I was just weeping. And I said, well, why can't you just tell me you're proud of me? And I'm expecting him to say, you know what, you're right. Okay, sorry, good job. And I said, why can't you tell me you're proud of me? And he said, that's not my job. My job's to tell you when you mess up. And I'm like, okay, that's going to leave a mark. So that left me, as you can imagine, with the typical, I'm not good enough. There's something wrong with me. All those that we experience when our parents can't love us at the level. Not his fault, but still. But what the gift he did give me was that he was a scientist. He was a very well-known physicist. And he said two things to me that were really impactful. He said, Daniel, if something in this world isn't working properly, you can always invent something better. He was also an inventor. He would make things. He would go to the store. If it wasn't what he wanted, he would just go into his workshop and make a better version. And I thought this was incredible. He was like an Avenger. And he also said something to me that stuck with me. He said, anybody can claim to know what they're talking about. Anybody can have a theory or an idea. He said, but the person you trust and what really matters is results. Yeah. Results matter. And I thought, man, that is. And so with that sort of love of inventing that I learned from him and this idea of results, I went to engineering school. And in engineering school, they train you to see a complex problem, figure out how to solve it, and then build something and then prototype and test until it gets results. You can't just have an idea. You got to test it, modify it, improve it, maybe scrap it to get results. And it's very satisfying when you get things that get results. It works and it makes the world better. The problem was they didn't teach me how to get results in relationships. I didn't know I don't know if it was like buried in quantum theory. I don't know. I didn't know. So I came out of engineering school and I fall in love. And spoiler alert, I did not live happily ever after. Disney owes me an apology on that one. And we loved each other, but I later found out I was being emotionally and verbally abused, but I was too insecure and codependent to leave. So I made a mistake, Vicki, that I know nobody in your audience would ever do, which is I stayed in a relationship way too long. Just me. And 2 weeks after it was over, somebody interrupts me and my whole body gets filled with terror and fear. And I'm like, oh, this is not good. And I get diagnosed with severe anxiety and complex PTSD.
Wow.
So, whether it's fear, anxiety, PTSD, panic attacks, this whole world of fear I did what a lot of your audience does. I go to the experts looking for help. And so I went to the therapists, psychologists, spiritual teachers, gurus. I went to retreats. I lived in ashrams. I was probably in a cult. I did ayahuasca. I did EMDR and EFT and CGT and EEBT and MOUSE. Like I did it all, Vicki. I did it all. I did all the letters,
And
went to all the
worked.
experts with letters at the end of their name. And I got some insights and some tips, but what I wanted was to be free of this. And I was never free of it. It was still there holding me back. And I just couldn't live the life I want to live. I was hiding, and I couldn't do what I loved. I couldn't show up for the people that I cared about. And I wouldn't have taken my own life, but I got why people do. I mean, I definitely got it, because when you're not happy, when this is keeping you from the life you want, and you go to the experts and they can't solve it, you start to lose hope. You feel trapped. And I kind of looked up to God, spirit, whoever the heck is up there pulling the strings. And I was just like, dude, I didn't say dude, but I said, what do you want from me? I've spent 10 years and $100,000 paying these experts, working my butt off, and I'm still stuck in this pain. I know it's a test, but I don't know what test I'm trying to pass. What do you want? I don't know. What do you want from me? And in this sort of moment of rock bottom, open epiphany-ness, I kind of hear the advice of my dad, which is A, if something's not working, invent something better, and B, results matter. And I sort of just woke up out of this fog realizing that the therapists, the psychologists, the coaches, the personal development teachers, they're well-intentioned, but let's be honest, they don't get great results. If results is getting rid of something, they don't get great results, and results matter. And so I saw that nobody was getting permanent results. They weren't even measuring results, Vicki. So for my own pain, but also I saw the whole world was in pain and wasn't getting permanent results. I started my own research company to see, could we use engineering, what I learned in engineering school, to reverse engineer something better.
Wow.
And our mission was to not only create something that gets results, permanent results, meaning it's gone and it never comes back, but also that gets consistent results, meaning it's not just for some people, it's pretty much everyone. So now the system we developed has a 90% success rate, regardless of what type of fear or anxiety you have or where you're from. But also to make it simple. There's so much stuff out there that confuses people, and people then fail. So we got to make it really simple. And then also I saw how much money and time people spend and they don't get freedom. And I thought, you got to pay for results. So we wanted to develop something where you only pay for the results you get. So when people work with us, you do not pay at the beginning because we haven't helped you yet. You only pay at the very end when your fear and anxiety is either significantly down or completely gone. And we do that, one, because it makes it easier for people to work with us because they're so skeptical, but also like helping is what it's about. If we can't help you, we're not going to take your money because it's wrong. And so what we're trying to do right now is we develop a system that's more effective, it's simple, it gets permanent results, and you only pay at the end when you get the results. And that's our way of helping people, because when people are in pain, man, they need results. They don't need more tips and strategies. And so that's our mission. That's what we're here to do for everyone out there who's struggling.
I hear you. So young people are more anxious than ever. And experts say it's because of the added pressure of social media. But you say that that's not true. And I'd love to hear why not.
Well, it goes back to, again, more of the misconceptions. You'll hear this from quote unquote experts, and it sounds a little bit true, right? Social media, obviously not ideal. But it's blaming the social media, which, come on, you're the experts. If you know what you're doing, you should be able to solve something, not blame. Now, I know it's not true because through our research, we figured out what anxiety was, and we realized it's coming from within us.
Yeah.
The outside world isn't doing it. Now, how do we know this? Well, clients came to us during the pandemic saying, oh, the pandemic made me anxious. No, The conditions were already within you. The pandemic made it worse. How do we know? Our clients were the calmest they'd ever been during the pandemic. We help teens now all the time that are calm and chill, even with social media. Also, we are helping, parents feel calm, and then they start to model the behavior and their kids pick up on it, and they're calm, even with the social media, even with the bullying. So, the experts, if it's not social media. Also, it doesn't even make sense. The idea that we're more anxious because of social media. Yeah, social media is not ideal. Are you going to tell me that a mean tweet is scarier than the Cuban Missile Crisis? Really? Really? The fact that we were on the verge of nuclear holocaust? I think that's scarier than what somebody said about you, or the Great Depression, or World War II, or the Civil Rights. Clearly there were times in our life when life was more scary, but people weren't as anxious. People are more anxious than ever because the experts don't know what they're doing. That's it. And when I explain to you where anxiety is coming from, you'll realize that it's not the outside. Yeah. So let me just try to clarify what anxiety is, just to give your audience a simple understanding. What we're doing is simple. But if I just say anxiety is simple, it doesn't matter. But it is simple. And it's simple for two reasons. One is, if you understand something simply, you probably understand it. It's not easy to make things simple. But the reason that we were able to solve anxiety and make it simple is because our approach from the beginning was to solve it and make it simple. And most therapists, psychologists, spiritual teachers, that's not their motivation. Their motivation is they go to school or they learn something cool that, helps you manage it, and then they pass it on to you for some money. They're not motivated to solve it. They don't want to solve it. And they're not motivated to make it simple, because if you can say something complicated, it seems cooler. And our approach, the reason it's so effective is because we completely looked at what wasn't working and then invented what was working. So here's what doesn't work, okay? What doesn't work is what everyone's doing right now, which is usually an approach that's either spiritual or psychological. Now, there's nothing wrong with spirituality and psychology. It's wonderful. However, it's usually a perceptual, abstract understanding of what's going on. And there's value in that, to kind of understand what's going on and to have a spiritual practice and to understand the psychology of something. There's value in it. But if you can't solve something, having an abstract understanding can't solve it. When you want to solve something quickly and efficiently, you don't want psychological or spiritual. What you want is an understanding that's mechanical. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. If you're at a restaurant and you're choking and two people walk up to you and one person says, "Hey, I see what's going on here. I think when you were younger, it was maybe scary at the dinner table, and so you ate food too quickly, and that's causing problems. But also, I feel like you really have a real scarcity mindset around air, and you're really focusing on your lack of air instead of the abundance of air that's out there. And I feel like your ego is attached to breathing, and that's making it worse. So if you could just let go of these attachments and have a positive mindset, or somebody walks up to you and goes, "Okay, here's the deal. You have a bit of food mechanically lodged in your windpipe and you're about to die. So I'm going to apply mechanical pressure to your stomach. That's going to put mechanical air pressure behind the blockage. It should pop it out, and then air will be able to mechanically get in your airway, and then you'll breathe." In that situation, do you want an understanding that's spiritual, psychological, or mechanical?
Mechanical. It's much faster. Save
my
life.
It's much faster. Exactly. And simpler, and probably going to work.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because there may be that doubt or lack of trust in what the person's saying. But if you're explaining, okay, this is what I'm going to do and this is what's going to happen, then there's a feeling of, oh, okay, he seems to know what he's talking about. I'm going to trust that he can fix me.
Well, that's true. And part of the reason he's confident is because probably he's done the Heimlich maneuver, but also just mechanical just works. It's based on mechanicals and mechanisms, and it just always works. Sometimes people come to me and they say, "Daniel, how can you have a 90% success rate, with everybody?" And I said, if 1,000 people have a broken bone, That's a mechanical issue. The bone is mechanically broken. I said, if you take 1,000 people and you put a cast on the broken leg, all those people are going to have a healed bone. Why? Because there's a mechanism that actually heals the bone. The mechanism doesn't say, oh, you had a really crappy childhood, or, oh, you stole chapstick when you were younger. Like a mechanism doesn't care. If you're choking and you remove the blockage, you're done. So a mechanical approach works on everybody. That's the beauty of it. And it works almost every time. So our approach is mechanical, and thus it makes it simple. So I'm going to give your audience and you a simple inner mechanics lesson so they can understand anxiety in a way that's not only mechanical, but also makes a solution seem simple. Okay?
Good.
All right. So inner mechanics lesson number 1. And when I say anxiety, I don't just mean general anxiety. I mean any type of fear. Your audience is partly leaders and entrepreneurs, and this can also be fear around public speaking, sales. You can have sort of general anxiety, meaning it's following you around all day, but it also can be situational anxiety. Basically, anything where fear shows up, that's what I'm talking about. So if you're listening to this thinking, I don't have anxiety, you may not have anxiety, but if you have fear around public speaking or workplaces or situations, this applies to you. So here's the thing. First of all, anxiety, nobody has anxiety. And things don't make you anxious. That's not what is mechanically going on. What it is you are feeling fear. And that fear that you're feeling is a symptom.
Wow.
And it's not from the outside, it's from the inside. Okay? Now, also, the location. The mental health experts tell us it's a problem of the mind. It's got the word mental right in there. Mental, okay? So everyone's trying to solve it at the mind level. But do people say, I think anxious or I feel anxious?
Feel.
Yeah. Where do you feel it? You feel it in your throat, your chest, your heart, your stomach, your throat. So the experts are telling everybody it's a problem of the mind, not solving it. But listen to those words: throat, chest, heart, stomach. Does that sound like the mind to you or more like the body?
The body.
Yeah. That seem complicated or simple?
Yeah. Simple.
Simple. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, so if you're listening to this, your anxiety is not a problem of the mind. The root cause is the body. Once your body is feeling fear, then yeah, your mind thinks there's a problem and starts to spin to try and solve the problem. But your spinning, overactive mind isn't the cause of anxiety. That's just a symptom of where it's actually coming from, which is the body. So that's why people aren't solving it. The experts, quote unquote, sent you to the wrong location. So that's why you haven't solved it. Not because you're broken or crazy or doomed. They sent you to the wrong place. You're never going to solve it. And the place in the body where it's coming from is, again, it's very obvious and very simple if you know where to look. So take out the word anxiety, take out the word panic attack, take out the word fear, and just use the word nervous.
Okay.
You know, a little bit, people are feeling nervous. A little bit of nervous we'll call worry. A lot of nervous we'll call overwhelm. A lot of nervous we'll call anxiety. And a lot of nervousness we'll call a panic attack.
Okay.
Okay. So what system in the body do you think probably is malfunctioning, making everybody feel nervous? The endocrine system, the capillary system, or the nervous system?
Endocrine? I don't know.
I'll say it again.
Endocrine?
What do you think is most likely making everybody feel extra nervous? Capillary system, endocrine system, or nervous system?
The nerves. Yes, I don't know. It sounds nervous. Simple nervous system.
Yeah, it's nervous system. It's got the word nervous right in there.
Right.
That's how simple this is. The experts are telling you you have a disorder of the mind. Meanwhile, there's a system in the body called the nervous system. We got millions of people feeling extra nervous, and the experts are telling us it's a problem of the mind. No, it's your nervous system in your body, not your mind. And the beauty of the nervous system is that systems in the body are mechanical. There's mechanisms. So that's inner mechanics lesson number 1. Now, when the nervous system in your body starts to malfunction, you will feel something that's at the root cause of fear. Okay. If the nervous system is malfunctioning, which it is, you will feel from within, you will feel unsafe.
Okay.
So I want you to think of the symptoms that you have that you might call fear or anxiety. You could call it anxious feelings. You could call it overwhelm. You could call it spinning thoughts, spinning mind, whatever that is for you. Can you see that underneath that, you're just feeling unsafe from within? Can you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you feel unsafe from within, you'll then see these symptoms that you might label as worry, fear, overwhelm, anxious, panicked.
Yeah. And if it goes on for too long, you'd add depression to that.
Yes, you do. Which are more, they're more just symptoms. You don't have depression. Basically, if you feel unsafe, you're going to be in a state of fear constantly and it'll exhaust you, which will lead to depression. So you don't have depression. The experts will tell you that because if they put a label on it, they look smart and they get to sell you stuff to deal with the problem. It's all symptoms. Okay. So the first lesson is that you don't have anxiety. You're not suffering from anxiety. You're not an anxious person. The outside world doesn't make you anxious. The outside world can make you a little bit stressed, which is like 2 out of 10, 3 out of 10. But if you're feeling really, really, really afraid, it's because you feel unsafe from within. And then when the outside world pushes on you, instead of just feeling stress, you feel unsafe and thus anxious. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So, is there something that you can do to control that fear?
Well, that's an excellent question, but that would be an inefficient way to do it. That's what the therapist and psychologist is to control it. But that's still just managing symptoms. That's just Band-Aids.
Right.
But that's what we're taught to do. Control the thing instead of just solve it. Like you, Vicki, would never say, so is there a way to control my bleeding? Like you would say, why am I bleeding to begin with? And let's solve this.
Yes.
So we don't want to control it. What we want to do is understand where it's coming from and solve it so it goes away and never comes back. That's how I live my life. I don't control it anymore. I spent $100,000 trying to control it, and that's what everybody's trying to do it. The apps, the meditation, the visualization, the drugs, controlling it. But it's still there. Wouldn't you want to be free of it? It is solvable. So your anxiety, your fear is that you in your body, your nervous system is malfunctioning and you feel unsafe from within, and then these symptoms appear. But then the question is, why do we feel unsafe?
Right, right.
And we want to understand, why do we feel unsafe in a way that makes this solvable? So in our 6-week program, basically what you learn to do is you have a set of steps in a certain order, which by the time at the end of the program, you feel safe from within. But, I can't exactly condense 6 weeks of material, but I'll try to simplify it into like a little exercise here so you can kind of get a glimpse. Okay. So we'll do a little role play here. And in this role play, we're going to be really good friends. And when I say we, I'm talking to you, Vicki, but also your audience members. So when I say the word you, I'm talking to you, Vicki, and whatever wonderful person is listening to this. Okay. So imagine that we're friends. But all of a sudden I start to be a really crappy friend to you. I'm unkind to you. I'm inconsiderate. When you need my help, I'm not there for you. Everybody else is way more important than you. You're last. You get crumbs. I'm unkind to you. And I know what you need, but I don't care. I know what'll hurt you and I'll do it anyway. And when you need me, again, I am not there for you and you cannot trust me or rely on me. If I treat you that way for a while, are you going to feel safe and calm or unsafe and anxious?
Unsafe and anxious, for sure.
Yeah. Boom. You see that simple mechanical? It's just like almost like a reflex. Okay. So now let's say you tell me. So on the count of 3, I want you, Vicki, and your audience, I want you to say, the way you're treating me leaves me feeling unsafe. Okay. On the count of 3, just say, the way you're treating me leaves me feeling unsafe. On the count of 3. Okay. 1, 2, 3.
The way you're treating me makes me feel unsafe.
We had a little internet hiccup.
Yeah, your internet kind of went out. We can just mark this. I'm going to put a pause.
hiccup.
Yes. We're going to start again. I just put a pause so my daughter can find
Can you
it.
hear me, Vicki?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Okay. So imagine you're feeling unsafe. Okay. All right. So now on the count of 3, I want you to say to me, the way you're treating me leaves me feeling unsafe. So on the count of 3, say, the way you're treating me leaves me feeling unsafe. 1, 2, 3.
The way you're treating me makes me feel unsafe.
Why are you telling me? What's wrong with you? Everything's fine. Chill out. And also, don't bring your weird, messy feelings to me. I'm trying to live a really good life, and you're like getting in the way of this, and there's something wrong with you. So whatever this is, get it away. You're on your own.
Okay, that
Does that leave you
me
feeling safe and calm or unsafe and anxious?
It doesn't make me feel very good at all. It does make me feel a little bit anxious as to what just happened. If you're my friend, what just happened?
Yeah. And I'm sorry to do that to you. It's for the sake of science. But what I'm trying to share with you is, like, if I treat you that way, it's going to feel horrible. And it's not, it's simple. It's mechanical. This is just going to happen. Now, the thing about mechanics is, if you understand the mechanics of how to move something in one direction, you can move it in another direction. Such as if you know the mechanics of how to lose weight, which is to, burn more calories than you eat, then you know the mechanics of how to gain weight. You just eat more calories than you burn. So I know the mechanics of how to make you feel unsafe and anxious, so I can then, with the same knowledge, make you feel safe and calm. So on the count of 3, same thing, say, the way you're treating me leaves me feeling unsafe. On the count of 3, say, the way you're treating me leaves me feeling unsafe. 1, 2, 3.
The way you're treating me makes me feel unsafe.
Oh my God, thank you so much for telling me. I am so sorry. It makes total sense. You feel like that, given how I've been treating you. Like, there's nothing wrong with you. There's something wrong with me. And how you feel, it makes sense. And it's good you told me, because it's a wake-up call for me to treat you better. And it'll take time for me to rebuild trust with you. But in the meantime, I just want to say, I'm glad you told me, and I'm just really, really sorry.
Well, thank you.
Does that leave you feeling unsafe and anxious, or safe and calm?
Definitely safe and calm.
Yeah,
Much
and
better
you use the word
feeling.
definitely, because see, it's almost like mechanical. It's just like boom. So in this role play, we're in a friend relationship. And if I treat you poorly long enough, you will feel unsafe. That's just inner mechanics. But on some level, can you see that we're in a relationship with ourselves? And can you see that on some level, we're not always a very good friend to ourselves?
Absolutely.
Right. So if me being a crappy friend to you leaves you feeling mechanically unsafe, what our data and research showed is that the little things that everybody does every day is mechanically leaving yourself feeling unsafe from within. Little things you don't even know you're doing are accumulating, leaving your body and nervous system feeling unsafe. Now, the downside is nobody knows this is going on. It's like a silent killer, and everybody's doing it to themselves accidentally, and it's mechanically leaving them feeling unsafe from within. And the experts aren't seeing that. They're telling you it's a problem of the mind and giving you Band-Aids. But can you see that if we want to turn this around quickly, can you see why it's good news to understand that what's going on may be simple and mechanical? Can you see why that's good news?
Yeah, but what do you do if the person doesn't accept that?
It doesn't matter. That's the beauty of mechanics. I've had people come to us, and this happened 6 months ago. This guy came to me and he said, look, I think you're full of crap. There's no way you can solve my anxiety. There's no way it's simple. He said, but his name was Carl. He was from Oregon. And he said, I've had anxiety and panic attacks my whole life. I've spent all the money, all the experts, nothing did it. I've also had people scam me. I think you're a scam. He said, but I met somebody at a party who had my same symptoms just as long as I did. And they told me not only that our program solved it, but also he said, you only charge at the end when you get results. And he said, that's incredible. He said, it probably, because then I can just try this, right? I said, yeah. So he said, but I don't think it's going to work. I said, great, be skeptical. Like it's no risk to try it. If it doesn't work, you don't pay. When it does work, you get your life back. That's just a good value proposition. So he didn't believe it. And on the third week, about halfway through, he's like, I'm glad I'm wrong, man. This stuff works. But for the first 2.5, 3 weeks, he didn't believe it. Why did it still work? Because it's mechanics. If you don't believe a cast works on a broken bone, it doesn't matter. The bone heals. If you have a root canal and you don't trust the dentist, but the dentist gets out the infection, It doesn't matter. The mechanics win. If you're choking and you don't believe in the Heimlich maneuver, if they pop the piece of guacamole out, you breathe again. It doesn't matter. So it does. That's the beauty. That's how we have a 90% success rate.
Awesome.
But also the reason that we're able to solve this is because it's not just the theory. The theory, yes, it's coming from the body. Yes, it's the nervous system, but that's all the theory. But to help people consistently, we looked at what gets people consistent results. And we looked at different areas of the world where people get consistent results. Certain types of surgeons. I had a knee doctor, repaired my knee. My mechanic was really good. I had someone that worked on my house, painters. Anyway, there's a lot of people that get consistent results. And we looked at what was in place. And what we saw is that almost all of them followed a very important thing, which is called a system. Does that make sense that if you have a system to follow, things are going to go better for you?
Absolutely.
Yeah, look at you.
Remember,
light up,
I
Vicki.
told you I'm a project manager, and yes,
Right.
I live by
And
this.
And systems make complex things simple and easy to follow.
That's
But
right.
let me ask you, do you think when it comes to anxiety and panic attacks and PTSD and fear, how many people out there had a highly optimized, research and developed, tested system? How many systems are out there?
I have no idea.
It's basically zero.
Wow.
What people get is individual tools and techniques, and that's what you get. Some insights, some tools and techniques. And people try and they fail, and then they think they're broken. No, what we do and what we worked on for 8 years was a system. And a system works for 3 things. The first off is that in the system is effective because you are consistent. Your listeners probably have tried things from therapists or psychologists. They try it, but they're not consistent. Or they start it and then they fail. Or they learn something at a retreat, sounds good, but then they don't follow through. Can you see that a lot of people aren't always consistent?
Oh, absolutely.
So our program is very easy to follow. There's accountability. There's step-by-step. It's easy to follow to make sure that you're not only consistent during the day, but you're consistent all the way through the program so you'll have results. The other reason what people need to solve things like fear and anxiety is not what they're getting. The average person is getting individual tools and techniques. Try this technique, try this thing, try that thing. Okay, but what do you think works better? An individual tool or technique, or a set of complementary tools that work together to get the job done? What do you think's better?
It has to be the complementary tools that work together to get the job done.
Exactly. When you go to a mechanic, he doesn't just have a wrench and say, I use a wrench, I just use wrenches. It's like, no, there's a whole set of tools that are needed to repair the thing.
Right.
Multiple things. So most people have individual tools and techniques that work on one area, but that doesn't get the job done. And that's why people have failed and then blame themselves. And I'm here to tell you, it's not your job you failed. You needed an entire set of tools working on multiple levels simultaneously to get the job done. That's what gets the job done. When you hire a contractor, they don't just show up with a hammer. They have multiple tools to do multiple things to build the house. So our program works because there's a set of 5 complementary tools that work on multiple levels simultaneously to address the root cause. And then the final thing you need to be successful in a system, and you're going to appreciate this, Vicki, you need instructions. You need to know what to do and when. But when people go to the therapists and psychologists and spiritual teachers, man, I spent $100,000 and they were like, here you go. Not when to do it, how to do it, for how long to do it, nothing. Just like, here you go. And I would fail. And that's why people are failing. So our program, the reason it works is you know what to do every day. Very simple, easy to follow instructions. You can't get confused. You don't wonder. We hold your hand so that you know what to do every single day. And then you move on to the next phase. And it's laid out elegantly so that you don't get confused. Things are simple. You know exactly what to do and when. And through repetition of taking care of your nervous system, the end result is if you work the steps, you get the results, which is to feel safe from within. Can you see, Vicki?
Yeah.
That if you could just feel safe from within, how much better life would be?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. The fear would be gone.
See that? You see how simple that is?
Yeah.
So I just want your audience to know this is what would allow you to be free of this. And you were not given this by the experts. I don't know why, but you're not broken. This is not your fault. You're not weak. You're not going crazy. You were not set up for success. You were sent to the wrong location. You were given confusing explanations. You were not given a complimentary set of tools with instructions where it was simple. You were gonna fail, not because you're a failure, but because you were set up for failure. And I want you to know that so you don't blame yourself and so that you don't lose hope. If you want to be free of the fear and the anxiety by feeling safe, if that appeals to you and you want a system that lays out the steps so you just follow the steps and get the results so you can feel safe and then feel happier, be more open-hearted, feel more confident, be more of a leader, be a better partner, be a better parent, do what you love, have more joy and purpose. Like this energy that you see, Vicki, this is not cocaine. This is the result of a very healthy nervous system. So if any of that sounds good to you, that's what we're offering people.
Awesome. Well, guys, it has flown by, and I really think, Daniel, we have to have part 2 to this so we can spend a little bit more time digging even more deeper and sharing some more of your great stories of people that you've helped. But for those that are just listening now and really want to get in touch with Daniel right away, I'm sharing my screen, and if you're listening, I will be giving you the website. So for those that are just listening, that website is easy to remember. It's danielpackard.com, danielpackard.com. And if you want to learn more, you just need to go to his website, and there you can book a free consultation with Daniel. So please go to danielpackard.com, again, danielpackard.com, and book that free consultation if anything he said to you has intrigued you, or you need to talk with him, that you're ready to get rid of that anxiety. Daniel, it has been really enlightening and wonderful chatting with you. And I do hope that we can set up something, another session to be part 2 of this, because I think it is a subject that there are a lot of people out there that could be helped by this.
Absolutely. I'd be honored.
As always, I remind everyone that life is a journey, and it's up to you to enjoy the ride. This is Vicki Noethling signing off.
Thank you for tuning into the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast with Vicki Noethling, where we share impactful lessons that help you grow as an individual, grow your confidence, and find the positive and good within you so you powerfully and authentically become the best version of yourself. Remember to visit our website at www.findyourleadershipconfidence.com and enjoy even more great episodes like this one. Again, while you're here, subscribe to us via your favorite network. We look forward to seeing you next time on the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast.